So what if I told you that your brain actually prefers certainty over the truth? It sounds crazy, right? But think about it. We all naturally wonder about the future, yet so many of us get completely trapped in this endless loop of overthinking. Today, we're going to explore exactly why our own minds can feel like our absolute biggest enemy when we're just forced to wait for an answer.
Because let's be honest, we've all felt that crushing, totally relatable agony. Maybe it's that nerve-wracking wait for a medical report or getting an exam result back, or maybe it's that deafening silence after a job interview you thought went really well. Honestly, it can be as simple as waiting for a text back from someone you care about, just staring at those three little typing dots appearing and disappearing. In those moments of the unknown, overthinking just completely takes over, and our stress levels absolutely skyrocket.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're decoding the uncertain mind. We're going to deconstruct the exact biological mechanisms that make the human brain absolutely terrified of uncertainty, and more importantly, learn how to take our power back. Here's a quick roadmap for our explainer today. We're covering the threat of uncertainty, taking a look inside the anxious brain, exploring how we fill in the blanks, diving into the psychology of stress, and finally, we'll go over exactly how to stop overthinking. Okay, let's jump right into part one, the threat of uncertainty. So, from an evolutionary standpoint, your brain really just has one primary job, and that is to keep you alive. It's this highly tuned survival machine. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, if our ancestors heard a rustling in the bushes, assuming it was a deadly predator is what kept them alive. Assuming it was just the wind, well, that could have been a fatal mistake. Because of this deeply ingrained wiring, your brain views any unknown factor, literally any gap in information, as an active, impending danger. To your nervous system, a lack of information isn't just a blind spot. It is a literal threat waiting to strike. Moving on to part two, inside the anxious brain. Allow me to introduce you to the amygdala. This tiny almond-shaped cluster in your brain is basically your highly sensitive, built-in alarm system. Whenever you face a completely unpredictable situation, like, say, not knowing if you got that promotion, or trying to decode what a vague text message really means, your amygdala immediately starts flashing red. It signals danger, it starts pumping out stress hormones, and it prepares your body for a full-on fight or flight response, completely regardless of whether a physical threat actually exists. So you have this literal battle raging inside your head. On one side, there's the prefrontal cortex. That's the advanced part of your brain responsible for logic, reason, and rational thought. But on the other side, the amygdala, just screaming with fear and survival instincts. And here's the thing. When uncertainty hits, that logical prefrontal cortex is very often hijacked and just completely overpowered by the amygdala. You know logically that a delayed text message isn't going to kill you, but your amygdala is doing a really good job of convincing your body otherwise. Which brings us to part three, filling in the blanks. When your brain is starved of facts, hijacked by fear, and left completely in the dark, it turns to this really fascinating phenomenon called predictive processing. See, your brain doesn't just sit around waiting for things to happen. It acts as a relentless simulation engine. It's constantly guessing what's going to happen next based on past experiences, just to keep you safe and prepared. So when you don't have all the facts, your brain starts rapidly generating possible futures. But there's a glitch here in how it generates those futures. Because of that powerful survival instinct we talked about, the brain naturally fills those informational voids with absolute worst-case scenarios. It wildly misinterprets the harmless everyday unknown as a guaranteed threat. You don't just casually wonder why someone hasn't called. You simulate a reality where they are furious with you, or maybe something terrible happened. The reality is simply the unknown, right? But your brain's interpretation instantly becomes the danger. Let's look at the fallout of this in part four, the psychology of stress. Psychological research into this reveals something genuinely shocking. When researchers actually measure stress hormones, specifically cortisol, they find that human stress levels spike significantly higher when a person is facing complete uncertainty compared to when they're facing a known, guaranteed negative outcome. That means your biology would literally rather endure a guaranteed failure than suffer the agony of suspense. It's wild. We would rather know for sure that we failed the exam, didn't get the job, or got a bad medical report than sit in that uncomfortable space of just not knowing what's going to happen. Certainty, even if it brings bad news, allows the brain to finally stop simulating and start adapting. Uncertainty, it just keeps those alarm bells ringing indefinitely. So how do we fix this? Part 5, how to stop overthinking. The good news is you can drastically reduce overthinking by consciously forcing your prefrontal cortex back online. First up, you have to separate raw facts from your brain's assumptions. Ask yourself, okay, what do I actually know to be true right now, and what is my brain just inventing? Second, anchor yourself in the present moment. Since overthinking is basically a glitch of predicting the future, ground yourself in the physical reality of right now. Focus on your breathing or just the task right in front of you. And third, prioritize small actions over your imagination. Don't let your mind just run wild in the dark. Taking even a tiny physical action breaks that paralysis of the unknown and gives your brain a concrete reality to focus on. To wrap things up, remember this. The problem isn't uncertainty. It's your brain's interpretation of it. Uncertainty is really just empty space. It is completely neutral. And once you realize that the unknown isn't inherently dangerous, that it's just your evolutionary biology playing tricks on you, you gain this incredible superpower. So, knowing all this, how will you choose to interpret the silence the very next time you're stuck waiting for an answer?